Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about tools that every marketer needs. And always with the Casology Digital Marketing Podcast, we have an industry expert who's absolutely the font of knowledge when it comes to tools that every marketer needs. So we're going to be talking about different tools, different parts of software, basically things that are going to make our jobs a lot easier. So without further ado, let's introduce today's guest.
Strategy, market research, email, marketing plan,
display ads,
PPC, content, social media, social ads, SEO. Welcome to the Casology Digital Marketing Podcast.
Okay, hello and welcome to Ian Anderson Gray. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Ian.
Hi, Kaz. It's great to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, definitely been a while. I mean, just to give you your official title, you are the founder of the Confident Live Academy, and I've got to say, the owner of the funkiest domain name I've ever seen. I just love it because everyone knows who you are. Because for those who don't know, Ian's domain name, our website is iag.me. And obviously that's his initials and me, and I just think it's so clever. And every time I see it, I just think, yeah, that's Ian. And it's and you've had it for ages. It's not a new branding. You've been known that for as long as I've known you. And I think I officially met you at there was the big social media event in Manchester was it 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, I think it's long. I think it's longer than that. I think it was in 2016. I mean, it shows you how time flies.
Yeah, it was a number of years ago, and I think huge event at Lancashire Cricket Club. I think it was like cabaret tables. There must have been hundreds of tables. It was a paid event, and it was really good. And I remember seeing you on stage, and I was like just going along as a guest. So I was like, oh yeah, this guy seems really good. Seems to know what he's talking about. And then you mentioned you're from Manchester, and I'm like, oh, I mean, it was just a bit of a coincidence. And I was like, yeah. And then he said, oh yeah, it's from Altrincham, and I was like, yeah. I mean, that's around the corner for me. And I was like, yeah, that's thinking. But I mean, do you recall the event?
Oh yeah, very much so. It was like my second or third speaking engagement, and so like I think I started speaking in 2015. So it was an amazing conference because it was really big. It was local, obviously for me, and for you. And there were these like quite big names coming over from the US and Canada, and I got to meet them, like Mary Smith, Melanie Dodaro, people like that, and actually since then the contacts or the friendships I should say that I made have lasted ever since. I'm still the opportunities that have that arose really from that event as well. So it just shows you going to events, going to conferences can change your life, and I would definitely say that about the big social media conference.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I think the people I met there, I'm still in touch with now. There was something about it, and I mean, I know you. I mean, because I know you're quite. I mean, for you it was a local event, but I know you go to San Diego, you're here, there, and obviously I catch your live videos and your posts every now and again. But I mean, like for us, we got quite lucky because it was a huge event and it was on our doorstep. So I mean, for us, it was brilliant. But like you say, I'm a huge fan of Mary Smith and all the other people. I think those other people from Manchester as well. I think there was like Ian Brody, Sam Flynn.
Yes.
There was other people from our local area, and it was like, but it was just a really good event. And I think at that event, I thought this guy knows what he's talking about because you seem to, I suppose, like any good marketer, you specialize at what you're interested in. And what frustrates me is that sometimes you get marketers who say, yeah, I'm a specialist in digital marketing, or I'm a specialist in marketing, and I'm like, wow, I've been doing it for 20 years and I can't be a specialist in all of it because it's such a huge area. I mean, even what we're going to be talking about today in terms of software and tools, some people are specialists in these single software and tools, and you'll see the YouTube videos that are on about a specific. And I think you've done right. You just need to be known for a certain thing, and like you're the go-to person for me, see, when it comes to stuff like that. If I've got a question about tools, software, anything I need to use about marketing, I know I'm going to find it on your website. I'll catch it on your Facebook Live. There'll be something on YouTube. I mean, even this platform we're using today, Restream, I got the information from one of your videos. I was like in between, shall I get it or not? I went and saw it on yours and you were talking about it. And I asked a couple of questions on the live chat and you answered it. And I suppose the rest is history, but I'm sure you probably know. But when you're going through the Restream demo video, a thumbnail of yourself.
Oh, really?
And,
I didn't know that.
I was like, yeah, I know him. So you obviously your examples must have been that good that Restream themselves are using it.
It's kind of funny, like, talking about the experience thing that things change in marketing so regularly. And there was a tweet somebody was posted recently, which was they were looking for a Web 3.0 marketer, and it said experience is necessary, 2 weeks experience. Normally it says 2 years. I think they were kind of joking, but like it changes so often, like 2 weeks. That's that's probably enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, it reminds me of some of those job applicants, see, because when I do the training and people talk about getting into marketing and they say, well, these entry-level jobs are asking for so many years experience and so many this. And I just said to them, listen, I just think they've taken the job description, copy and pasted it and just put it somewhere. They'll just kind of borrow and think it, but you just need to make sure that your first bullet points or your CV kind of talk about aspects of the job that they'll be interested in, because there'll be parts of the job you'll never ever do. It's like when you go to work or when you've worked in the past, you read your own job description and think, God, I never knew how to do that. I suppose we could spend a few more minutes chatting, but I'm conscious that the listeners will be really keen to get involved in finding out finding out more about what we're going to be talking about today. So in terms of today, we're going to be talking about obviously focusing on tools and software that marketers can use to not to quite get ahead, but maybe save themselves time, because I find that time is probably one of the biggest commodities we have. In terms of one of the first talking points I'd be interested to talk to you about would be, we all know from statistics and everything we've read, the best way to get someone's attention is through video. I mean, the statistics tell you how the eyes pick up video before anything else, and all the information's there that gives us that. I mean, then I suppose there's no coincidence the growth of TikTok and things that people see related to video content, whether it be stories, reels, shorts, or whatever they want to call it now. Video is the way to go. I suppose asking the question I probably want to ask at this stage is, how can we use live video content? So obviously, there's video content, we're all interested in that, but how can we leverage live video content, I suppose?
Well, live, I know for many is kind of quite a scary thing. It sounds scary because you press that go live button and then you can't edit it because it's live, and so if you stumble over your words, you've just got to live with that. But you see, that's the beauty. That's one of the beauties of live video, that you are being real. People are actually, more and more people are put off with the slick marketing videos that people put out. You see them, you go to like a product page and there's this kind of cheesy elevator music in the background, and there's this kind of very good looking person, or maybe it's some animations, and there's this kind of voiceover artist who speaks like this, and people are getting more and more put off by that. People want to kind of get to know the real human being behind the brand, whether it's a personal brand or whether you're a corporate. It's important to put the human side of the company, and live video is great. And actually embracing your flaws. If you stumble over your words, if you don't like the sound of your voice, if you have these kind of weird mannerisms, like we all do, let's face it, we all have weird mannerisms, like, embrace that, embrace those bits, because your perfect audience will actually love those things. If there are people out there that don't, well, they're probably not going to be your perfect client, so don't worry about them. So that's the first thing. People want, what's important in marketing is the whole know, like, and trust thing, and being able to trust the person behind the brand is so important. And also it gives more accessibility. People can then ask you questions, and that's what you did, Kaz, on the show I did talking about Restream. You were asking questions and I was able to answer you, and that's really valuable. People really want that. So those are two really, really important things. But from my point of view as the business owner, and maybe this is more of a selfish reason, but such an important reason, is that this is an amazing way to create content quickly and easily. I spent weeks and weeks and weeks writing my blog posts, and they were very, very valuable, but it took a long time. And I'm going to let you into a secret, Kaz. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I don't know whether you are, but I struggle with perfectionism and procrastination, all these things. But with live video, what you can do, you can schedule your live show, like say 2 p.m. next Tuesday. So your audience know that you're going to go live. So you have to go live. There's no getting out of it. You obviously do your planning, but then you go live, and maybe it's like an hour of your time, and then it's done. You've created this piece of content which will become evergreen. If you're using a tool like Restream or similar tools, you can then broadcast that to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn. And then from that, and this is the bit that I get really excited about, you can turn your live videos into a content repurposing engine. You can turn that into a blog post, into a podcast, into social media images, into little video snippets. And that is like the most amazing thing for me, because it just means that I can plan, and then I can spend that time doing the live video, and I can create all this content. So many things that I could say about live video. Now, just one final thing. If live is really, really scary for you, then you could miss out the live bit and just schedule it and then record it within your live video tool, not actually go live, which is kind of like what you're doing, Kaz.
Yeah.
But so you've got that option. The thing that I love about live, though, is that interaction with my audience. And also it's that extra kick up the backside, because I know I have to do it. And because I'm a recovering perfectionist, I don't have to worry about editing because I can't. So that's why I love live video and why I think it is such a powerful medium.
Yeah, I think one of the important things you mentioned there was that you just have to do it. I mean, I suppose I work well with perfectionists because I have kind of a just do it attitude. I think just get it done. So when I work with a perfectionist, they kind of say to me, Kaz, you've missed this out, where I'll say to them, okay, that's great, but we just need to get this done now. So I suppose we bounce well off each other. But in terms of what you've just mentioned, that was quite interesting, because you think to yourself, oh, I've done one live video, but you've just rightly said that from the live video, you could upload as a podcast. You don't have to really, you can't edit because it's already gone out, and you can use snippets. I mean, you can repurpose the content many times over. And I mean, blog posts is a really good idea as well, because some people just prefer to read, and if you're in a certain environment, you obviously we're all creatures of habit. Sometimes we want to read something, we want to watch something, and maybe if it's last thing at night, you really can't have something really loud on your phone, so you might want to just read through it. So yeah, repurposing content, I suppose, is well, I suppose it's a quick win, really, isn't it? Rather than having to do things over and over again.
It's really important, because, like you quite rightly said, like we're going to be in different situations where, like, we're not going to be able to watch a live video. If you're driving, it's not a good idea to watch a live video, or if you're doing the washing up, it's a bit tricky. So, like, I actually don't watch a lot of live videos. I do like it, because I do like to kind of engage with people, but and actually, a lot of my audience do this too. They'll sometimes watch the live video, but sometimes they're not in the position to do that. So they'll listen to the podcast, or sometimes they'll listen to the podcast and then they think, oh, that was a really good episode, I'd really like to watch the show. So they'll go and watch the video on YouTube afterwards. Some people, and I'm the same, I just would rather read. I found it this morning. I'm wanting to find some information about something, and I saw there was a podcast episode about it, and I thought, I don't really want to listen to a podcast. I just want to read a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think having all of those different mediums from your content, I think is really important, because you're going to have different audiences, and those people are going to be in different situations at different times. So creating that content for all of them from your main live show, I think, is really important.
Okay, then. So I mean, let's just say we've got over the idea of worried about going live, and we've justified it to ourselves. And based on what you've just said there, one live video can create almost not endless amounts of content, but it can keep you going for a while. If we want to get to the stage where we think, right, I'm going to do it now, how do we get started with this, or what do we need to do before we start? Because, like with anything in life, you need to plan, don't you? So I mean, what do you?
Yeah, it's the most important bit. I mean, so I have my 5 Ps formula for live video, and the first P is planning. So that's what you need to do. You need to kind of, I recommend putting together a planning document, and this was a game changer for me, because I don't know, I might give the impression that I'm super organized, but I'm not. Well, I am now, but because I've put all of this into place, and so. The planning document basically is like, what is the show about? What are your main goals? I think you have to have, like, what is the aim of this? And what's the show going to be about? Who is your audience? Put all of that in place. Where are you going to be broadcasting to? So sort all of those things out, and then come up with 3 themes. So for example, for my show, my show is called the Confident Live Marketing Show. It's about live video, but there are 3 themes that underpin that. There's the confidence in front of the camera is theme number 1, confidence with the tech and gear is number 2, and confidence with the content and marketing is number 3. And that means that I can then come up with content ideas for each episode really easily. So do that planning. The second thing is to practice. So you just I would say go live to Facebook, create a private group that no one else is a member of, a secret group, and go live to that. Just play around, make all your stumbling over your words and all your mistakes there, because you will make mistakes. Oh Absolutely. My goodness, like we all do that, and just practice with it. And then the next thing is the tech and gear, and people get a little bit either obsessed or they use there's a big barrier here. But my advice here is keep it simple to begin with. I've got a huge amount of gear here, but I've done that over time. I've built my studio up over time. So the main thing, that there are 2 or 3 things that you need. The most important thing is your internet speed, particularly your upload speed. So I recommend go to speedtest.net. You can download the app. I do this before I go live. Make sure your upload speed ideally is 4 megabits per second upload. Ideally 10 plus, just so that you don't have any problems. You can cope if it's less, but I'm just trying to save you some problems. The second most important thing is your microphone. So a lot of people think it's your camera, but if people can't hear you, they're going to switch off. So you could use a microphone that's plugged into your computer, but ideally just get a dynamic microphone. And then the third thing, of course, is a camera. So if you want to look good, then a good camera is important. So yeah, get the tech and gear, and then of course we can talk about tools. I know we're going to talk about tools today, but there are lots of various tools that you can use for live video. So you need to find a tool that's going to allow you to broadcast to the place that you want to broadcast to. So it could be Facebook, it could be YouTube, LinkedIn. Instagram, it could be a combination of those. Instagram is a different beast, of course, because you can only broadcast live through the mobile app. But yeah, that's where I'd start. Okay,
so I mean, you're midway through this. You said you've got the 5 Ps. You said planning, practice.
Oh yeah.
What would you say the other 3?
Well, so actually the practice bit is not one of the 5 Ps. That's something that you would do. So yeah, so planning, and then it's so once you've done all of that, and I suppose the practice is part of that planning stage. So that's the first P. Now it's time to go live, and you've got your first episode planned. So what do we need to do? Well, the first thing, the second P is pre-promotion. You need to let the world know that you're going to go live. So I recommend that you schedule your live shows. You can do this on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. That basically means that a post will be created on those platforms, and then let people know. Use your email newsletter if you have one. Let people know on social media. And get some friends along for the first episode. So have a bit of a party. So that's the pre-promotion. The third P is the day has come for you to go live, and this is time for you to produce the show. So this is production. It's the third P. Okay. And there's loads of things we can talk about there. That's where you're using the live tool, and there's a plan that you put in place. So we can come back to that one. Then you press the end broadcast button, and that's it. And it's time to go to bed and have a nice life. No, it's not. I'm joking, because that's what a lot of people think. But if you end it there, you're missing out on all this other opportunity. Remember, your live video will become a piece of evergreen content on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. People will watch the replay. And actually, in most of my live shows, I get many, many more people watching the replay than watching live. And if you think about it, that's common, because not everyone can drop everything and start watching you live. So they watch in their own time. So let people know that they can watch the replay. Again, go on social media, send your email newsletter, say, hey, I did an episode last week on the best tools for social media marketers. Click here to view it. Okay, and then the final P is, and I'm kind of cheating here, but there is a P in there somewhere, repurposing. You hear the P? Repurposing. Yeah, and so this is all about turning your live show into blog posts, into podcasts, into all these things that we talked about earlier on. And so those are the 5 Ps.
Okay, so just a quick summary there. So it's planning, pre-promotion, production, and what comes after that?
Post promotion, and then repurposing.
Post promo, right? Okay, yeah. And I think we could, hopefully for the YouTube video, if I continue with my Just Do It attitude, I'll create some sort of graphics someone can maybe screenshot or take away. So, but no, I think there's some really good options there, and I think each element there is quite a lot to it. I suppose you could spend just one session talking about your 5 Ps there, because especially around the production element, there's so many bits of information you could share. I mean, I'm guessing do you have any information on your website regarding this kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, I've done a whole episode on my show about the 5 Ps, and we talked a lot about those different things. But I will say, don't get overwhelmed by all of that stuff. There is so much we could talk about there. But just like to begin with, just with the planning, come up with 3 things that you want to share. With the pre-promotion, just send it out. Just let people know that you're going to go live. The production, to begin with, keep it simple. Use a tool like StreamYard or Restream, and just interview somebody, have a little chat with somebody. Third thing, the post-promotion, just again, let people know. And then repurposing. There is almost like an infinite amount of stuff that you can talk about here. There's a friend of mine who is another Manchester person called Amy Woods. She runs a company called Content 10X. I don't know if you've come across Amy Woods.
No, the name doesn't ring a bell, but I'm sure I've probably seen her at some place.
Yeah. So she's all about, her business company is all about repurposing, and she loves when her clients start with live video, because you can turn it into all these different pieces of content. So, but just start with, turn it into a podcast, or just take a little snippet and post that to Instagram or something. Keep it simple.
And I'm really pleased you mentioned repurposing. I mean, it's quite timely actually, because I put out a video on TikTok yesterday. It was a Disney one, and it was 2 Disney videos backed on top of each other. And basically, I think it was the Jungle Book and another cartoon, and they had exactly the same basically actions, and so it was basically the same cartoon, but they just redrawn it and repurposed it. So I suppose that my theme was that if it's good enough for Disney, it's good enough for us. I mean, and Disney's a big company, so there's no shame in repurposing, basically.
There's absolutely not. And the other thing is, don't edit out your mistakes. Use those mistakes and repurpose those. Make those into outtakes. So because people love that. People love it. I mean, I know we don't when we make mistakes, but like people love it if you're stumbling over your words, or I don't know, the cat comes in and jumps on your table or something.
Yeah, but I was going to say, even like at the time, you're thinking, "My God, this is a nightmare." But when you watch it back, you think, "Oh, that was actually quite funny, mate." I was almost like real Kaz then, you know, where you kind of where your real person comes out. But that's really good, really useful. So I mean, I suppose on not quite on that theme, but related. I think you touched on things earlier, but what would you say are the biggest barriers to creating video content in general, I suppose, or live video? I mean, is there any key themes that we should be aware of or be conscious of?
Well, I mentioned the 3 themes for my show, and those are the 3 themes, I think, or the 3 barriers that people struggle with. And maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I asked my audience to tell me what was stopping them from creating live video content, or what were they struggling with. And I collated all of those things together. I made a word cloud, and then I thought, do you know what? There's actually 3 main themes here that people struggle with. And one of the things that people say a lot is, well, I don't know what would I talk about. I don't know what I talk about on my live show. So that is a worry. And actually, the answer is, well, it's the same question you'd ask. Well, what would you blog about, or what would you podcast about? It's actually the same question. So you need to do that planning. The second one. The second one is what people think. This is kind of one of the most used excuse, and that's the gear, the tech, you know. And I've used this myself. So, my camera's not good enough. My microphone's not good enough. My background's not good enough. And I've said this a lot. I didn't go live for a whole month once because I thought my background was boring, and there was my audience waiting for me to go live, or maybe they'd forgotten about me, I don't know, but I was getting all self-obsessed by my background. And do you know, honestly, people don't care. People don't, they're interested in you. So Yes, you do. So from a tech point of view, there are some tech things you need to sort out. And, from a live video point of view, you've got to play around with things and test things because things will go wrong. Sometimes you might forget to switch your microphone on, or you have camera problems or internet problems or something like that. So that's the second one. And the final one, I think, is the biggest, and that is it's the camera fear and mindset. So it's getting in front of the camera, worried about looking like an idiot. Maybe you don't like the sound of your voice or the way you look. You're worrying about being judged. You're comparing yourself with others. You have imposter syndrome. You're perfectionist. You're procrastination. Need I go on? All of those mindset things. And for me, that was the biggie, because I actually trained here in Manchester at the Royal Northern College of Music as a professional classical singer.
Yeah.
Which I know sounds a bit weird. Why have I gone into all of this? But I remember going on stage and feeling really scared about that. But I was able to turn that nervous energy and that adrenaline into that performance in front of the audience. It's the same thing with live video. You've got to turn that fear, that nervous energy, into excitement, into that energy in front of the camera. And that is definitely doable. But if you have a plan, if you know what you're doing, it makes it a lot easier. I won't go on, but I could do, but I'll stop there.
No. It's all very useful because I was in. What you mentioned there, I've just gone through that because I've been saying to myself, basically procrastinated, just kind of saying for months and months, I can't wait. I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do a podcast. Oh, but I need to do this. I need to do that. And then I thought to myself, I kind of usually when I'm doing my digital marketing training, I'll just kind of put this headset on, blur my background and do it. And I suppose because we're in this post-COVID era, even if someone did walk in, people are like, oh yeah, what do you expect? He's at home or he's in his home office or whatever it might be. So I think through COVID, we've become more accepting of mistakes and people not being in that perfect mode. But I kind of almost inadvertently took your advice. I just thought, I'll just use the same headset I'm using because I thought I need to get completely kitted out. I need to be Ian Anderson Gray because I've seen some of your videos where you show that behind the scenes footage and the mix. It's not the mixing deck. I always forget the name of it. You can just press the buttons and
Stream Deck. Yeah,
the Stream Deck. And I thought I need to get this, and then I started tallying up, and I thought, I'm just never going to get started because I'm going to buy this. And then before you know it, you don't just buy things. You start reading things about which is the best one to buy. And then and then I think to myself, why am I sat here reviewing a product that I had no intention of buying just because I want to do live video or I want to do. So I just thought, get the software. So I've got my Restream, I've got a headset. I'll blur my background. Maybe in the future, I'll get a green screen or I'll change my background or I'll do something. But rather than just not doing it, I thought, at least let's just get it done. And as I mentioned earlier, I try to have this just do it attitude. And I suppose, maybe sometimes it's not perfect, but I'm one of those that I either strive for perfection that will probably never happen, or I just do it and it's not as good as it could be. So I think that's probably one of the ways I look at it. But
it's so important. And the thing is, like, if you had the perfectionist attitude, then you'd probably be launching a podcast in about 10 years time. So like, none of this would be happening. And so like, you're right. And I won't say anymore, but yes.
It can be. Okay, so I suppose moving on to more of the theme related to what we're actually, I suppose, more related to what we're talking about, I'm focusing on software because, as I mentioned, whenever I've met you, and like I say this genuinely, I always know that you're the guy for tools or software and stuff. So if I've got a question about that, you go to Ian Anderson Gray because there's a good chance you've covered it. So I suppose my question is, and I was going to say, can you give me the top 3 software tools or the top 10? But I know you must have absolutely loads. So I'm going to I'm not going to limit you. I'm just going to hand it over to you and just give us the benefit of your knowledge about what should we be using or what can make what can make our jobs easier, basically.
There's certain ones like I was going to say like your website. Now you can technically run a business without a website, but it's obviously going to be a lot easier if you have a website. So I'm a massive fan of WordPress. One of the co-founders of WordPress is actually in Manchester. He's just down the road from me. So Mike Little. So he runs the Manchester users WordPress group. So I think that's obviously good. I think things like a password manager It will save a lot of time. So I use LastPass, but there are lots of other tools out there that will help you. I mean, I use that. It's a boring sounding one, but it just saves so much time. Document sharing like Google Docs is obviously good. Google Analytics for making sure that your website, that you're being successful. Tools like Zoom and Slack are very good for working with clients and with team people as well. But what we were talking about earlier with the live video, I use my live video as my content hub. That's how I create my content. And so I use a live video tool to broadcast live, but it also allows me to create the video and the audio as well. I personally use Ecamm Live, which is a Mac-based live video tool, but I use that in conjunction with Restream. So I'm not going to say like there is like the best tool, live video tool out there. I personally like Ecamm Live, but do your research. I've got a whole article on the top live video tools on my blog, so you could have a look at that and find out the best tool for you. But then what I then do is I take the video. So Ecamm Live, Restream, StreamYard, they all give the ability to save the video onto your computer. So I then put it into a tool called Descript, and Descript is one of my favorite tools at the moment. So this is descript.com, and it's a bit difficult to describe. It's basically, in one sense, it's a video and audio editing tool, but it does so much more than that. So basically what you do is you just drag your video or audio into Descript, and the first thing that does is it will transcribe that into text. And then what you can do is go through and edit it. So you might have misspoken, you might have stumbled over your words. You can it can even find filler words like and it will, you can remove them for you. And then what you can do is add music if you want. So you could put your start and your end to it. Turn that into a podcast, so you export it as an audio. You could say, for example, your guest says something absolutely amazing. You can just find that in the transcript and then export that one little bit, put subtitles on, turn it into an audiogram, put your logo on there. All these things you can do with Descript. So I use this to turn my live videos into a podcast, into a blog post, into little video snippets, all from Descript. And it even can do something very scary. And if you said the wrong word, you can actually get it to say the word you meant to say in your voice, which is really scary.
Way.
So
that is a bit scary. Sorry to cut you off. Is this like a website, or is it like a software you purchase, or is it an app? I mean, what is it?
Yeah, it's a downloadable app. It works on Mac and Windows, and they do have a free version of it, but it's to get the most out of it, you'll have to pay for the subscription. So I think you get a certain number of hours of the transcription each month, depending on the plan that you're on. But honestly, it's just so worth it for all that I do. It's probably one of my favorite tools at the moment.
I think that's a real good insight from yourself, because you were talking earlier about repurposing content. You were talking about how to create live content. You were then talking about repurposing that, and now you've almost kind of completed the jigsaw by saying, well, listen, I'm telling you how you can do it as well. So you've kind of almost given like from conception to delivery almost. So I suppose there's a thing. But anyway, I'll let you carry on with the other.
So we've got the main kind of the basic tools. We've got live video tools. We've got Descript. And then there are other ones such as like a social media management tool. I mean, a lot of us are. Most of us will, need to be using social media. Social media's changed and it's changing, but it's still a really important part. And to have that conversation on social media is really important. So I like a social media management tool because it's kind of the one tool to rule them all. It does everything. It helps you with posting and scheduling and engagement and your social inbox, and with reporting and analytics. So I've reviewed all of the tools out there. My favorite is Agorapulse. It's not the cheapest, so I will say that. But if social media is really important to you, then I recommend Agorapulse because it's just really, really robust, really, really good. And there are other tools out there that you could have a look at. That's the tool I use.
Yeah, I mean, because I think with the social media I mean, people just think they're scheduling tools, but I use them more as a management thing. Like, but
Yeah.
if one of your team has created some social media posts, they can just show you on there. So you're not just scheduling it; you can then approve it, schedule it. But for me,
Yes.
the main purpose is how do they send me the information, and I just use that as a platform. I'm probably using it more for the editing side of it rather than actually scheduling. I've heard of like Agora Pulse, and there's many others that we could mention, but at the end of the day, you're talking scheduling and management tools, aren't you?
Yeah, and also like a social engagement. So for me, I mean, I'm on pretty much all the networks out there. So it's difficult to kind of, if people are mentioning me or replying to a message, say on Facebook and then on LinkedIn and on Twitter and Instagram, I would normally have to log into all of those different accounts, but with a tool like Agora Pulse, I've got a social inbox, so I can see all of those mentions and replies and comments all in one place, and I can reply to them, and then they disappear from view. You get that lovely inbox zero feeling, which doesn't last very long, admittedly, but it's there for a little bit, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Thank you. Any others that you would like to add to the?
Yeah. So I was thinking. I mean, I think we've probably said most of them, but the other ones on the list are. I think it's important. I think mailing list, email is still so important. We get shiny new tool syndrome, but email is still one of the best ways to get your message out there. So an email marketing software. I personally use ActiveCampaign. I love ActiveCampaign, but there are many others out there. There's Mailchimp. There's ConvertKit. There's Drip. But find a tool for you that works. You could use a lead capturing tool. So this is less needed, but this is, I used to use Optinmonster. I now use a tool called ConvertBox. And so this allows me to create these lead magnets that will they'll pop up when people are leaving the page, or there'll be something on the page. So for example, I've got a confidence guide that you can download. So if you go to my website, you just put in the details, and then that will be sent to you via ActiveCampaign. But the actual opt-in on the page is powered by ConvertBox. And then the final thing is if you can hire a designer, which is great. I've got a designer, but I actually get what I've got my designer to do for my show images is to create lots of templates. So you can go into, so I'd recommend either Canva is a good one, or there's Easel, which is the one I use, EASIL. They're very similar. And basically I go in there, I can see I've got a template for YouTube, one for blog posts and for Twitter or whatever. And I can go in there, I just change the image, I put my guest in there, change the text, and then I download it. And so if you can create lots of templates, it just makes it so much easier for you to then create all these social media images and your content images as well. So I think that's probably all the tools. I could go on, but I think those are the main ones I'd recommend.
Yeah, I think it's enough to get people to get started or revisit or actually know what they do, because sometimes you hear about a tool and you think, it sounds good, but I don't know what to use it for, and I don't know why it's so useful. But some of the ones that you've mentioned there, they can actually are real good next steps and good quick wins. Moving on to a slightly, not a related tool. I think at the risk of presumpting myself, I feel like I've got a bit of an exclusive here, because at this current time you're in the middle of launching the Confident Live Toolkit, and that's pretty new. I mean, I've got quite lucky with these podcasts I've been doing. I've had a few exclusives, and I've been like, "Oh right, okay, this is quite good." But when I was researching it and I came across, I was like, "Okay, this looks pretty new." And then you mentioned something, I was like, "Okay, this is good." So I mean, can you give us a scoop or an exclusive or something I could maybe use as a snippet?
Yeah. So this is something I've been working on for a while. At its heart, there's a course called the Confident Live Launcher. And so this is basically a series of videos that you can walk through that will teach you everything. I mean, all the stuff that I've been talking about today, but in far more, there's only so much we can talk about in a podcast episode. Absolutely. But I'll go into all the details. We talk about the 5 Ps. I talk about live video tools and the gear. We talk about mindset, all those kinds of things, so that you can launch your podcast and your live show. So there's the launcher course. There's the warm-up formula, which is how to get confident with your voice and your body in front of the camera. There's a live streaming tools mini course. There's But the thing that I'm really excited about, and the bit that this is why I'm calling it a toolkit, because all those things are great. The course is great, and I'm sure everyone will really love those bits. But the thing that I really want when I'm looking for help are templates. And because I want to see how other people are doing it, and then I can kind of steal it in a nice way and make it my own. So in the toolkit, I've got a content planning worksheet, an episode planning spreadsheet. These are all the tools that I use in my production, a show notes document, and then my whole process of how I do everything, my run of show, the show planning document that I mentioned earlier, the guest checklist document that I send out to my guests to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing. Email templates. There's the email that I send to my guests after the show. And then also there's an ebook as well. So there's a lot in there. But I'm excited particularly about those templates and things, because I think that's what people actually need.
Okay. I mean, and how do you get access to it? I mean, is it just, do you just go to the website link and just download it, or is it like, do you have to apply to join? I mean, how does it work?
No, it's so it's not out as we speak, but depending on when this actually goes out as a podcast, it should be out by then. And it's, if you go to iag.me/live video toolkit, live toolkit, sorry, iag.me/live toolkit. And it's, you just go there and you sign up, and it's all there.
Oh, right. Okay. So I think one of the key things you mentioned there is videos, because you can almost, but sometimes like I'm looking, if I've got two screens, hence why I'm always looking here and there. But I always, like, I'm doing something technical, I'll have the video over there, press pause as and when I need to do it, then come back to my screen. So, I mean, is it like a step-by-step? Can someone use it in that way?
Yeah. So they're all short little videos, like, I think the shortest is probably about 1.5 2 minutes, and they go up to about 5 minutes. And so they're in little bite-sized chunks.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
So I think there are four lessons, and then within each one there are about 5 modules that you can go through in your own time. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. I think that'd be a very useful tool for people to use, and I'd consider that an exclusive. So if you do go to so it's iag.me, which is your main website, then /live toolkit. But I'm guessing it'll probably be on the homepage or somewhere. So as long as they get to iag.me, then they'll be able to find it from there. But that's really, really useful, and I think almost like a nice way to kind of bring things to a close. I mean, in terms of for people, obviously, I mean, as I mentioned, I get in touch with yourself from time to time to get some advice, to get some information, as I mentioned, on different types of software and tools. And what's the best way for people to contact you? Obviously, we've mentioned the website. You're on Twitter as well, and LinkedIn.
Yeah. I've carelessly scattered myself across all the socials. So like Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just I have a presence on TikTok. I don't really use it as much as I probably should, but just wherever you feel comfortable, just either search for my name, Ian Anderson Gray. A lot of the places are, my username is iag.me. So it's iag.me. It's kind of spelt out that way. But I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you want to send me a private message, you can do that through my website, iag.me.
And then, I mean, just to kind of add my own voice to that, this is kind of a genuine one. This is not like some fake email or like spam folder where your private secretary deals with it. You actually get to speak to you, because I've done it on the live shows. I've done it on the email. I've even done it on Facebook Messenger, and you'll always get in touch. And obviously, whatever software you're using is pretty damn good, because you always get back to someone really quickly. There's no lag or delay. I mean, I don't want to kind of curse you now or anything like that, but.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that, because like I always feel I get back to people far too late. But anyway, I will put it this way: I will always try and get back to people as soon as I can. And if I haven't, then it's not because I hate you; it's because I'm busy with something else. So just send me a reminder or something like that. But I will get back to you, and I'd love to connect.
Yeah, no, I'd say that. Yeah, that's genuine. So if you ever want to speak to me and literally get in touch with him, he'll get back to you. And if you want to kind of ask him some questions about his live videos, do it on there as well. Because going back to what you said before about the authenticity, you kind of get that, because when I was asking some questions and you had some guests on, and you had a bit of a back and forth, and it felt so real, because it wasn't pre-scripted. you didn't know I was asking the question. You were genuinely giving your own thoughts and feedback. But yeah, no, that's great. But I know I've taken enough of your time up today, so thank you very much for your time, Ian. Is there anything else you'd like to say or anything you'd like to mention before we bring things to a close?
No, I don't think so. Just to encourage your listeners to just get started. Don't procrastinate. Don't try and make things overly complicated. I'm a total hypocrite here, by the way, but finally I managed to get through that, and I realized the fact that I needed to get over those things, and I'm creating consistent content, so you can too. You just need to get started.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good way to put it. Just do it, almost like get started, and then once you do it, then you'll be on the way. But thank you very much for your time, Ian. Really, really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll probably bump into each other very soon. Cheers. Take
My
care.
pleasure. Bye.
You've been watching the Kaz Lalji Digital Marketing Podcast. Thanks for joining us, and remember to subscribe to learn about our latest content.